What up, my beautiful people? This is your boy FRAG-MENTAL. Oh, hang on a minute, I've not got enough gold jewellery on for that intro. Anyway, I'm here to talk about Tom Ford fragrances. I own quite a lot of them, and I'm going to rate them from worst to best. So if you're in the market for a new Tom Ford fragrance and you don't know where to start, hopefully this video will help. Smoochies. I'm going to start by saying there is not a bad fragrance in this video. I don't buy bad fragrances generally. There are obviously some I like more than others, but I enjoy wearing all of these. Because I've got 22 to get through, I'm not going to hang around, I'm not going to talk about each fragrance too much, I'm going to let you know some brief thoughts and then rate them. The lowest rating I'm giving any fragrance in this video is a 7 out of 10, so that still means it's pretty good, just not as good as it could have been. This is the latest release from Tom Ford, it's Oud Leather. This one is the latest in the Ombre Leather line. We've had the EDP, then the Parfum. This is the EDT. Slightly powdery, slightly creamy leather scent. It's not got the distinctive Ombre Leather DNA that the EDP and the Parfum have. Because of that, it's not quite as statement making. It doesn't come across as assertive as those. More mellow, more easygoing, not as attention grabbing. That's unfortunate because I like the Ombre Leather line because it is attention grabbing. Love the opening of this, probably would rate the opening an 8 out of 10, but overall, in terms of the performance, which isn't as good as the other ones, and in terms of how much enjoyment I get out of wearing this, 7 out of 10. Already leaving the 7s behind, we're into the 8s. Most of the fragrances in this video actually are 8s. The first one is Grey Vetiver EDP. We got some sparkling citruses, there's some slightly dry, smoky, woody vetiver. Really nice masculine combo. Lovely fragrance, super easy to wear, very safe, but interesting at the same time. It's got some complexity, it's got the quality you get with Tom Ford. Great signature scent, great office scent. It is a safe wear, but it's not boring. It just doesn't excite me quite as much as some of the other scents in the list. Very crisp, very refined, nicely done. This could be a great gentlemanly signature scent. Following straight in after that, because it's got a very similar DNA, is Tom Ford Grey Vetiver Parfum. This is the newer release. Along the same lines as the EDP, smells very similar. This one is just a little more intense, I would say. Everything's just amped up slightly. What I like about most Tom Ford fragrances is that they are quite distinctive. They're very attention grabbing. They've got a little bit of attitude. And the reason why this is just slightly higher than Grey Vetiver EDP is that it's just that little bit more intense, which I really enjoy. Both Grey Vetivers, really nice. This one, I just like that little bit more. Great summery choice with this. This one is also an 8 out of 10. Tom Ford's Mandarino di Amalfi Aqua. As you'd expect, the hero note in this fragrance is indeed mandarin, and it's done really nicely, blended in with some summery florals. Loved wearing this one in the warmer temperatures in the summer over the years. The only thing is it doesn't have massive performance, but would you expect anything else from a summery type of scent? Casual daytime summer wear, if you like something that's a bit fruity, a bit floral, light, bright, invigorating, refreshing, then this is definitely one for you to try. Doesn't hang around for that long, but if you're wearing it as a daytime scent, that doesn't matter too much. Not a game-changing DNA, but for what it is, it does it really well. Speaking of fruity florals, this one is one that is a little too fruity and floral for a lot of guys to wear. It's Black Orchid. This is the EDP, as well as the fruit and the florals. There's a lovely little bit of a chocolatey patchouli. So I get why a lot of guys find this a little bit too feminine to wear with the heavy emphasis on the florals. Personally, I don't. I think it's unisex. I think it's right in the middle. I don't think you're going to wear this and smell too feminine at all if you're a guy. So you got to try this, see if it's right for you, but I think it is this big, full fragrance. It commands attention. I love that about it. It's got a little bit of attitude. It's sexy. Black Orchid is a great fragrance. Sticking with the same DNA, this one is Black Orchid Parfum. Along very similar lines, this one is a little deeper, a little richer. What makes this a touch more masculine for me is it's got a rum note. It just seems to add a little bit more of a masculine character, having this boozy element. I've heard a lot of people say that this one is still a little bit too feminine for them to wear. I like that it just edges a little bit more towards the masculine side of things with the rum note. I've thoroughly enjoyed wearing this fragrance. Great for autumn. It's full-bodied, it's rich, fantastic quality. 8 out of 10. We are going truly aquatic with this fragrance. This is a very daring aquatic and I love it for that. Oud Mineral. As you'll notice, this is the older private blend version. I haven't got and I haven't smelled the newer version of Oud Mineral that's in the signature line, but I'm guessing it's a pretty similar thing. This one is quite daring because it's got a slightly dirty seaside feel. If you ever go down to the coast and you smell a little bit of that seaweed, that sort of funky, dirty, seaweedy type of smell, it's got that in it. But not to the point where it makes it unwearable, to the point where it makes it interesting. For some reason, this fragrance always makes me think of wearing a neoprene wetsuit, swimming in the ocean. I've got good memories associated with that sort of thing. It's a great fragrance. It dared to do something a little bit challenging. That is why this gets an 8 out of 10. And don't forget, the newer signature line version is cheaper than the private blend version, so it might be a good time to check it out, especially if you like wetsuits and seaweed. Staying aquatic, this one is like an Italian vacation. This is like being on the Amalfi Coast, Costa Azzurra. Citruses, herbs, driftwood, bit of incense, loads going on. This doesn't smell exactly the same as Armani's Acqua di Gio Parfum, but it's kind of got similar things going on. It's got the woodiness, it's got the herbs, it's got the incense, it's got the attitude. I've worn this in the summer, I've worn it on summer holidays. I tend to wear it as a daytime, more casual summer holiday type of scent, and in that situation, it works really well. Seems to fade quite quickly on me. It doesn't have the biggest performance. It doesn't last as long as some other fresher fragrances, but it's not too bad for a few hours on a hot sunny day. Slightly improving on the performance side of things is Costa Azzurra Parfum. Definitely smells very similar to the EDP, but this one is a little richer, it's a little deeper. I find it to be a bit more rounded, not quite as spiky as the original, which is why this for me is perhaps the evening version of Costa Azzurra, because it is a little deeper and richer. I think it would work really well in the evenings. It's not jumping off the skin quite as much as the EDP. It's not quite as effervescent and zingy, but if you're maybe going to be in the company of people who are a little closer to you, perhaps going out for a lovely meal, Costa Azzurra Parfum would work a treat. 8 out of 10.
If you love fragrance as much as I do, head over to my online store luxparfum.co.uk. You'll find my favourite brands plus brands you can't find anywhere else in the UK. Link is in the description.
So whilst we're talking about going out for a lovely evening meal, perhaps after that lovely evening meal you would have a dessert, and that dessert might be kulfi. And if you like kulfi, you'll like Tom Ford's Noir Extreme. This does have an emphasis on florals, although I don't think it's in danger of ever leaning too feminine. There's also a sweet creaminess. So it smells like a bit of a creamy dessert, which is what kulfi is. So you've got the florals mixed in with a slightly sweet dessert-like gourmand character. Makes it a very appealing, very likable, very sexy fragrance. Good versatility. This could easily be someone's signature scent. If you want to get noticed, if you want to smell sexy and creamy, then Noir Extreme, 8 out of 10. If I had one little criticism about Noir Extreme, as much as I enjoy it, it would be that it could have a little bit more backbone, a little bit more robust, a bit more attitude. Well, that problem is solved with Noir Extreme Parfum. Again, smells similar to its EDP version. It's got the same florals, it's got the same creaminess, but this one also has some leather added to it. The leather gives it a bit more of a robust quality, a bit more of that backbone, more of that attitude, and that is the reason why I love this fragrance and I enjoy it more than Noir Extreme. Perhaps a bit less versatile. This is probably going to be better suited to colder temperatures, so a great autumn winter fragrance. Sweet, sexy, full of attitude. If you like those things, if that's a bit of you, Noir Extreme Parfum, 8 out of 10. Couple of interesting fragrances next. I do love them. These are still 8 out of 10s. This is Tuscan Leather Intense. This is one of those fragrances where the intensity is less intense than the non-intense version, so slightly misleading. The original Tuscan Leather is a very intense scent, but this goes the opposite way. It's less intense. It should be called Tuscan Leather Less Intense. Nevertheless, I really enjoy it. It's an easier wear, it's less divisive, It's not quite as abrasive as some people can find the original. It's not quite as heavy on the leather. It doesn't have the raspberry to the same extent. It's a little greener, a little lighter, a bit airier. Just as I was preparing for this video, I had a little spray and a smell of it just to remind myself of it. And it kind of makes me think of elderflower, like an elderflower cordial. It's got that kind of smell to it. So if you think you like a little bit of a green fruitiness with some leather in the background, you might like Tuscan Leather Intense. An easier to wear version of Tuscan Leather, but not quite as distinctive. Similar kind of story with this next one, although I do like this just a little bit more than Tuscan Leather Intense. This is Ombre Leather Parfum. So they didn't call this one more intense, and I'm glad because it is definitely not more intense. It's not heavier and richer and stronger than Ombre Leather. Despite it being a parfum, this is a lighter, airier, greener version. Again, because of those things, I think it's more versatile than the original Ombre Leather, which is more suited to autumn and winter because it is so strong. But this is lighter, it's more easygoing, it's easier to wear, it's a little bit greener, it's a little mossier. The leather is pushed a little more to the background, but it's still very much there, enveloping the whole fragrance, but never in a way that is going to make it divisive or abrasive to anyone. So a lovely rounded, easy to wear version of Ombre Leather. It does have some of that Ombre Leather DNA in there, although not as strong as the original. This for me is a great 8 out of 10 spring fragrance. From spring back to summer, this is one of the best summer fragrances that you'll ever buy, and one of the best Tom Fords. This is Neroli Portofino, a delicate and elegant white floral fragrance that is down the middle unisex. I don't think it leans too feminine or masculine. Either sex can wear this. It's got a lovely, fresh, clean laundry type of appeal, probably coming from the white florals. There's also some herbs, a little bit of musk. It's not the longest lasting fragrance. It kind of hangs around for around an hour or two, but when you're wearing it, it is beautiful. It's a stunner in the sunshine, a quintessential and very stylish summer fragrance, 8 out of 10. It's time for the 9s, and the first one in the 9 rated category is Noir de Noir. The two main things we've got going on in this are rose and chocolate. Kind of smells like when you open up a box of assorted chocolates for the first time and you smell all the different chocolatey flavors. Very sensual and sexy. This would be a great date night fragrance if you want to buy someone a Valentine's Day gift, or if you want to wear this on a Valentine's Day or any date. Noir de Noir is a great choice. I've always thought this reminds me of a Fry's Turkish Delight here in England. I don't know if you have it in the States or anywhere else in the world, but it's Turkish Delight with a rose flavor covered with a layer of milk chocolate. Sweet, sexy, very Moorish, incredible scent. This one gets a 9 out of 10. Love it. This one is, I think, probably the most classically masculine sort of fragrance. This has a very traditional cologne type appeal to it. Beau de Jour. Lots of lavender in this, very aromatic. This is the type of fragrance you would associate with having a nice shave in a traditional barber's shop. This sort of DNA has been done many times before. This is one of the first masculine fragrances, masculine perfume type smells ever created. I feel like Tom Ford have taken this style of scent and just made it their own a little bit, maybe amped things up, made it a little stronger, given it a little bit more attitude. They've Tom Forded it, which means they've made this a statement-making version of a very traditional masculine cologne. That lavender really pops in this. Beautiful to wear, excellent performance. If you want a long-lasting, masculine, gentlemanly, refined, dandified type of scent that you want to wear casually, or you want to wear dressed up formally with a suit, Beau de Jour is one to check out. 9 out of 10. You'll notice in this video that there are 1 or 2 discontinued fragrances that I'm talking about. This is my collection and I am rating my collection, and you might still be able to find these if you look hard enough. Another discontinued one is a stunner. It's Plum Japonais. This is an amazing, plummy, woody, boozy fragrance. I adore this one in the autumn. It also has a beautiful warm spiciness, so the spices, the woods, the booze, the dark fruitiness of the plum all just blend together in such a perfect way. I'm thinking that at some point, like they tend to do, this may drop into the slightly cheaper, although getting more and more expensive signature line. But if it does, go to a store, give it a smell. If you want a sexy, sensual, spicy autumn banger, Plum Japonais. I wore this fragrance for the first time in a while yesterday, and it reminded me just how much I enjoy it. It's one of the first Tom Ford fragrances I ever smelled. It blew me away when I smelled it. It blew me away when I wore this yesterday, Tobacco Vanille. Stunning, creamy vanilla, some spices, it really pops. It's got the tobacco, it's like a blazed tobacco. This is a stunning scent. I think this was actually my first experience of tobacco in fragrance. Prior to smelling this, I thought, why would anyone want to put tobacco in a fragrance? How does that work? Why does anyone want to smell of tobacco? And then I smelled Tobacco Vanille and it blew my mind. The dark, robust quality of the tobacco combined with some spices and creamy vanilla. Amazing. It's strong stuff. It's going to get you noticed. This will probably pull in a few compliments because it is such an amazingly constructed fragrance. It smells fantastic. If you've never tried tobacco in a fragrance, give this one a sniff, and I think, like it did with me, it's going to change your mind. 9 out of 10. So we've talked about Ombre Leather Parfum, how that wasn't quite as distinctive and statement making as the original Ombre Leather, so here it is, the original Ombre Leather. What the brand did with Ombre Leather was make leather wearable. They made leather great again. The reason for that is leather can be quite a divisive note if it's done too strongly. If it's too much, it can be a little bit unpalatable for some people's nostrils. If you're really into your fragrances, then leather is probably a note that you really enjoy because it adds depth and it adds complexity. And the more we smell fragrances, the more we're looking for that intense hit of something fantastic. Leather does give you that, but for people who aren't into fragrances, leather can be a hard note to appreciate. Not the case with Ombre Leather. They've rounded things off. They've taken the edge, that slightly abrasive edge, off a harsh leather. They've made it a very soft, easygoing leather mixed in with the fruit. This is the perfect balance of being a statement-making fragrance full of attitude with enough complexity, but still enough mainstream appeal. Great scent, 9 out of 10. 3 fragrances left, and we are now in the 10 out of 10 category. In my opinion, for me, these are 10 out of 10 fragrances. The first of these 3 is Tobacco Oud. Along with the tobacco, there's a slight little animalic oud accord which gives the fragrance plenty of depth. But probably the best thing about this fragrance is the lovely, smooth, boozy whiskey note. Tons of attitude with this, it lasts really well. Tobacco Vanille made me start to appreciate tobacco in fragrances and it made me fall in love with it. This fragrance made me obsessive about the note of tobacco and heavily contributed in making tobacco my favourite note in fragrances. Stunning autumn winter fragrance. This one has got such an assured confidence about it that then passes onto me and onto my mood when I'm wearing it. It makes me feel more confident. I love wearing this when I want to make a statement. Maybe I'm dressing up in the autumn and winter, and with my style, I want to make a little bit of a statement. I want to look good. Pair that with this fragrance, good style, good smell. This one is a winner, 10 out of 10. The penultimate fragrance in this video is one that is not only a stunning 10 out of 10 scent. It's the fragrance that blew my mind and made me fall deep down the rabbit hole of getting more into fragrances, and that in turn led me to starting this channel. So I owe this fragrance a lot. It's Oud Wood. This was a game changer when it was released in 2007, one of the most iconic Tom Ford fragrances. This really put the private blend on the map. An exquisite, warm, spicy fragrance. There's some vanilla, there's a little bit of sweetness, slight little bit of creaminess, a little bit of an impactful use of synthetic oud. The best way I can describe this fragrance is to use words like intoxicating and mesmerizing. There was nothing quite like this when it came along. Tom Ford really innovated when they created this scent. It's sensual, it's essential, I think, for most people to own this fragrance. If you've not tried Oud Wood, get your nose on it, give it a sniff. It isn't a beast mode scent, it doesn't have the best performance, but for 4 or 5 hours when you're wearing this, it is one of the best scents I have ever worn. The final 10 out of 10 Tom Ford fragrance is a mind-blowing scent for me in the same way that Oud Wood was. Each time I smelled one of these Tom Ford private blends, it just took me to a place that I'd never been before, an olfactive territory that was newly discovered for me. But this one took me there and then some, because this is one of the most powerful one of the most statement-making fragrances that I think is out there and that I have in my entire collection. This is Tuscan Leather. It has now become this classic pairing of raspberry and leather. There's some saffron and jasmine, incredible perfumery. With fragrances that dare to be different, that dare to make a statement and dare to innovate, not everyone is going to enjoy those. Some of the best art ever created is probably divisive. If you want to create a very mass appealing, very easy to wear fragrance, yes, the majority of people will like that scent, but it's maybe not going to have the distinctive individual character that something like Tuscan Leather has. It's assertive, it's got attitude in spades, it's confidence inspiring, it's strong, it's remarkable, it's a masterpiece. It is a 10 out of 10 and it is the final fragrance in this video. All right, so there it is, my Tom Ford collection. I know I have quite a few. I think it's the brand I own more fragrances of than any other brand. I think Dior comes a close second. Even so though, I know there are some Tom Ford fragrances that I do not have in my collection. If you think there are some essentials that I need to have, please let me know down there in the comments, and also let me know what is your favorite 10 out of 10 masterpiece Tom Ford fragrance. If you're in the market for a Tom Ford scent, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, you'll see me in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.